go ahead?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. It's getting a bit late. I hope you are not too tired and you will listen to me. I come from France, from the company called Como Systems, and we are involved in the protection of electromagnetic fields. Just for your information, I'm trying to help our distributor here. Their name is Anton Davis from Switch for Life. Historically, I come from, I speak too loud. I come from a family of farmers, and we used to grow chicken and cattle for milk producing. And 20 years ago, my cousins were offered money to have high power lines passing over our farms. And within a few months, we started to have lots of strange things, that we had dead cows, the veterinary could not explain why, and same, we started to lose lots of chicken. So we decided to take it more seriously, and we decided to make one experiment in a university. So it was done with, at the time, a worldwide expert in embryology, Professor Madeleine Bastide, from University of Montpellier. And how the experiment was is they took fertilized eggs and they placed above a cellular phone at the time of the first cellular that were very heavy. And the cellular phone was turned on and in communication, and left several days to see how goes the development of the embryo. And the result that came back was that within the first week, 60% of the chicken embryo died already. At the time also, we were explained, the rumor was that extremely low frequencies are not dangerous. So we decided to test it because if you know, you can stop electromagnetic fields, but not all of them. And extreme low frequency fields can go through a Faraday cage. So the university repeated all the experiments, but this time above the eggs, they placed a big copper grid, and we waited again the results with the phone on for several days. And we were, in that time, imagining that with such a protection of copper wires, there would be no effects on the chicken embryo, but the result was that it was worse. The embryo mortality went up 85%. So some people try to protect with filters, or it's dangerous. The question is, this experiment was videotaped and by a journalist from the first French TV, and the whole experiment went live on TV 20 years ago. What means is that when they started to decide that our telecommunication would become electromagnetic, they already knew, I mean, all the science knew perfectly it was dangerous. It was a health risk. So it was very daring to decide 20 years ago, oh, let's make a company against electromagnetic fields. Not against, but proposing a solution, knowing we were going to announce lots of information that don't please everybody. So, knowing it was going to be a long road, we decided to build a very strong team of researchers and scientists. So I'm going to try to go to the next slide. Green. I just want the next picture. Can somebody help me to go to the next slide because it's not working? Hello? Sorry. I just want the next picture. I apologize. Next. Yes, stop. Oh, thank you for now. Green, oh, the big one. So I don't have a pointer, but this is a whole team. Some researchers don't want to be exposed. They did the research with us that was published, but they asked us not to show their name. But you can see on the top right, on the left, it's my uncle, the inventor. On the right, it is a Nobel Prize Professor Luc Montagnier. It is the man who discovered the AIDS virus. And what is important to know is at the time, so it was in 2009, Professor Montagnier was making experiments on the AIDS virus. And he discovered something that pushed him to write to the French Academy of Science. So he was the director of the World AIDS Foundation. And he wrote a letter that I will not show you. I have a copy. Each time I post it on a social network, my account is closed. But the letter was saying exactly, he was writing to the French Academy of Science, the regulating authority for any health products. And he said, I want to warn you not to use electromagnetic fields for future communication, because the results of my recent experiment that just got published in this scientific paper shows me one thing, that when I use electromagnetic fields on live blood plasma, what happens? It wakes up dormant viruses and bacteria. So what he was stating is that we all have dormant virus that will never harm you, never hurt you, but exposed to electromagnetic field, they will eventually wake up. That's what his experiment was showing him. This was 20 years ago, and I don't know if you can make the relationship with something else. Today, if you take the map of the development of 5G and you take the map of the development of the pandemics, I let you make the conclusion. But his research has greatly influenced us. The second person, who is very important, I show him. So that's Montagnier, that's Professor Paya, our scientific director. And here, this is a great quantum physicist, Professor Mark Henry from University of Strasbourg. And what he taught us in the research is he talks about water and electromagnetism, and he explained in his conferences that, of course, we are made of water, more than 70%. In fact, it's almost 99%. But he explains that the water in our cells is called morphogenic. I will not go in details because it would be a long discussion, but the water, a little bit like easy water from Pollack, is structure. Let's say that easy water only happens on hydrophilic surfaces, but the rest of the water in the cell is morphogenic, and its qualities is to allow long-distance electromagnetic communication, because our cells communicate not only with chemical messengers, but also by electric and electromagnetic impulses. Let me move to the next one. So in his conference, Professor Mark Henry shows that in terms of moles, you see the number here, I don't know how many millions, that's the proportion of water, and compared ions. And then it goes down if you go to nucleotide, lipids, protein. So what it says here is we are made mainly of water and a little tiny powder of ions, which are minerals. So here we explain that lots of people think that most of the communication of our cells goes by chemical messenger, but we have other ion channels that let's go in the minerals that are called voltage-gated ion channels. These channels respond to electromagnetic fields. So that's another area of research that has helped us to put together this technology. You have all heard about Professor Martin Pal from Washington State University, and he gives a description of how an ion channel, voltage-gated, can react to artificial electromagnetic fields. So people are always worried about the intensity of the phone, so you don't have to worry because our cells, the sensors, are able to detect signals of an intensity of 7 million times smaller than the signals of your cell phone. So anyway, it will interact. So here I was talking to you about the structured water in our cells and the morphogenic water. So now what I want to say is when you work in the industry of electromagnetic protection, you talk about health, which means that you do two things. You declare that EMF are harmful, and you better have good ways to prove it, and you declare that your technology can compensate it. And believe me, you better have solid science behind, otherwise, sooner or later, you're out. And there is 20 years, we are still here because all of our claims are backed up by science, published in peer-reviewed papers. I don't know if I will have enough time to show you all the research, but we will go. So these are above all the biological parameters that we tested. It means in all our study, we tested how much does electromagnetic fields affect your body, and do we compensate it completely, halfway, but we try to prove the difference. So many studies are purely biological markers. I will explain you after. And we made study also on the behavior, on behavioral, like a stress level or concentration, etc. So the first markers that we wanted to look at was intracellular calcium, because calcium is probably at the tip of the pyramid of biological cascade. They really decide all the other functions, like how your muscle grow, how your heart works. It's very important. So in each study, you can see here you have the control. That's when it's exposed and not protected. So you can see the calcium concentration goes way up, and once protected, it goes back almost back to normal. This is nitric oxide. So in this case, we were measuring exhaled nitric oxide that comes from the breath. But nitric oxide, it is probably one of the major damage of EMF. It is oxidative stress. The problem of oxidative stress is if it happens only one time, you have your immune system to send antioxidant and compensate it. If it's repeated every day, at one stage, either your immune system gets depleted because it cannot provide more antioxidants, or worst, you develop an autoimmune disease, which means that your own body attacks the oxidation, so you become in a chronic inflammation. And I don't know if people are aware, but when we talk about our biological age, the way in medicine it is measured is by the health of your immune system. So if your immune system is depleted, you age faster. That's what it says. So same, each time when protected, it comes back to like if you are not exposed to EMF. So this one is a great study. It was published in the Journal of Cellular Biochemistry by Dr. Reba Goodman and Martin Blank, a famous expert from a US university. And you can see it is linked to Alzheimer, Parkinson, and again, once protected, we come back to 0. Same on the serum response element. Genomic DNA, same again. All these studies are published, and you can find them in, you type in Google Scholar, and you find all of them. You all know about melatonin, and melatonin is linked to the quality of your sleep, but many other things like inflammation, premature aging, and cancer risk. So you can see the control, one exposed and not protected, it goes back to 25 and back to 60 with our protection. Cortisol, which is our level of stress, same. This is really important because it was a study on antibodies, and you can see that once exposed, we arrive to a level of a completely depleted immunity. I mean, the immune system was out. So monocytes, again, with the immune system, renewal of hippocampal cells. So this is a study I talked to you about that went on TV, on French TV, and you can see that we arrived to 60% mortality on chicken embryo, and with a Faraday cage, I said 85. No, it was 77%, but it went up. So this is a study made by Professor Miata, who realized that the visualization of screens provokes eye injury. And these are Professor Clemens Krum, who wrote lots of books on the stress as a workplace, and he published this study also. And you can see that all the stress symptoms, I mean, 33% of the stress symptoms were removed using our technology. So about the mood, about, people feel tired and sleepy in front of a computer, so we proved it was happening and it was compensated. So that's pretty much it. Let's say if you go to the booth, Anton Davis will explain you what kind of technology we have. It would be very long to explain the mechanism, how it works. In fact, inside the protection, we have in fact a kind of water which has been treated electromagnetically, and what it does, our cells use a system called stochastic resonance, which means our own cells send signals around, detect very feeble signals in the background, and can amplify it. That's called stochastic resonance. And what happens is the cells will preferably stabilize on coherent signals. So the signals of our technology are coherent. So it's like a tuning fork. When this protection is around, the cells will have a tendency to stick to the emission of the signals in the water. Well, I think I went over the timing. Thank you very much for your attention. And you can go and talk on the side.